Hello and welcome to The Wire. Karnataka is gearing up for a three-cornered contest between the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Congress and the Janata Dal Secular. The polls will be held on 10th May. Counting will be done on 13th May. The BJP is making all efforts to retain power in the state. However, as per opinion polls, it could face a tough fight from both the Congress and the JDS. In fact, the Eedina survey predicted that Congress will get a clear and comfortable majority this time, and it could be the party's biggest win in 3 decades. On the other hand, the survey predicted the BJP could end up with the worst performance in the last 2 decades. To discuss this, we have with us Mr. Yogendra Yadav, a renowned psephologist, political scientist and founder of Swaraj India. We are also joined with Dr. Vasu H.V, who is also a political scientist and coordinator of the Eedina survey. The Eedina survey says Congress is headed for a comfortable majority with 132 to 140 seats. This is much beyond the 113 seat mark. BJP is expected to get 57 to 65 seats. In 2018, BJP won 104 seats and Congress won 80 seats. The survey also added that the BJP could end up with the worst performance in the last 2 decades, and this could be Congress's biggest win in 3 decades. So my question is, if Congress wins this time, what are the factors that would lead to its victory? And since Karnataka is regionally divided, what should we pay attention to?
Well, it looks like this verdict, if the opinion poll comes true, then it is a verdict against BJP and also verdicts in favor of Congress. So Karnataka has never voted in terms of keeping the corruption issue at the center, but this government, there was many allegations against this government. Contractors Association came out in open, and there was evidence in public that BJP MLAs, ministers were one of the BJP MLA was caught red-handed with loads of money. So that is the reason why we see that it is not just a seat projection, but in our survey, there was a question to the public that which is the important thing that is affecting them. And the highest number of people said that it is corruption that is actually troubling them, and that with that in their mind, they are going to the polling booth. So that is one of the important reasons. And this government is also seen as the most incompetent government. And this was not prompted by us in the sense there was no leading question, or there were no options before the voters to select who is the most incompetent CM in the history of Karnataka. And about 45% of people named Basuraj Bommai. So this is, as far as our survey goes, this is very clear that corruption and incompetence is the main reason for which BJP is being thrown out if the opinion poll comes true. At the same time, there's yet another angle to it that the oppressed communities, it's called Ahinda in Karnataka, that is minorities, Dalits and backwards, are more in favor of Congress. As such, they were more in favor of Congress for quite some time, maybe post-Devraj Arasu period in Karnataka. That is the trend. And this time they are voting more in favor of Congress, and more poor are voting in favor of Congress. So the price rise and other issues, the economic decline in the last 3-4 years, post-COVID developments, all of this has actually resulted in such an opinion poll, and probably we'll get the result on May 13th. And there's more and more welfare programs Congress is identified with is also another reason. So if we are going by the issues and caste communities, I think these are the reasons why Congress is getting this majority.
When we look at, just to add to what Dr. Vasu has said, when we look at news in Delhi or in other parts of the country, you get to hear about hijab controversy from Karnataka. You get to hear about Azan, love jihad, this, that, communal quota, and so on and so forth. But the politics in Karnataka is not about that, although the BJP would like it to be around those issues. But when it comes to brass tacks, these issues do not really trump everything else. And as Dr. Vasu has said, that corruption, government's competence, people's anger against what they view to be corrupt and incompetent government, and everyday issues of economic life of the people, they come to the fore. Karnataka is not Gujarat. Karnataka is not Madhya Pradesh. Congress has had deep roots in Karnataka. And although the Congress lost the election last time, but even then Congress had 2% vote share higher than that of the BJP. So what their survey is saying is something actually much more limited. The survey is saying compared to where things were last time, Congress has gained 5% more. BJP has lost 3 points, and United Janata Dal has lost 2 percentage points. So that's all that has changed to turn this into almost a wave, almost a one-sided election in favor of the Congress. These are the real issues that are coming up. Dr. Vasu also made a point in passing, which I think needs to be underlined, which is the role of economic factor. It is absolutely clear, almost a textbook illustration. As you go from the rich to the poor, Congress's vote increases. It's a pyramid. And in the case of BJP, it's the opposite pyramid. Among the rich, they dominate over the Congress. But as you go to the poorer sections of society, BJP votes shrink. And because the poor are in overwhelming majority, Congress has an upper hand.
Got it. So, this question is to Mr. Yogendra Yadav. So, like we are talking about corruption, unemployment, price rise, these issues. In an interview to the Quint around 4 years ago, you had said, "जो BJP का नुकसान है, वो कांग्रेस का फायदा नहीं बन पा रहा." So, are you saying this time Congress has a lot of chances to gain in this election because of course, these issues?
Partly because Karnataka is a different kind of state. Congress actually has had very deep roots here. And two things are happening. BJP is losing, and obviously in Karnataka, Congress is in a position to gain from BJP's losses. But also, Congress is also doing proactive things. In the last 2 or 3 months, Congress has come up with 4 guarantees. All 4 guarantees targeted at the poor and the very poor. These are schemes aimed at providing 2,000 rupees to each household, the head of women household. Second is 200 units of free electricity to everyone, but it would mainly target the poor. Third is 10 kg rice per person per month, which is higher than the existing one. And fourth is unemployment allowance to different degrees of educated unemployed. Now, all these are targeted at the poor. So BJP is becoming unpopular, Congress is gaining, but Congress is also doing things on its own, which is leading to attracting voters. So both the push factor and the pull factor are working to the advantage of Congress. That's why I'm quite not surprised at what their survey is saying, although the survey would be seen as an outlier. All other surveys are saying, well, Congress has a bit of an edge, maybe it will scrape through, maybe hung assembly, but their survey is saying, no, it's a clear majority for Congress. So I'm not surprised.
Okay. So, the next question is based on caste, since in Karnataka, elections happen along the lines of castes. So, according to Eedina survey, only upper castes are supporting the BJP, others are not. Lingayats are the only other community in favor of the BJP. So, the survey says 53% are in favor and 47% against. The question is, how much of a change is this from the previous elections, and what could be its impact this time?
Well, Eedina is just an year-old organization, and this is our first survey in that sense, and we do not have comparable figures as far as the caste voting is concerned. Probably some other agencies like CSDS, such institutions do have those numbers. We don't have that. But there are 2-3 things that we can note here. One, there's not even one community which is voting entirely in favor of parties. Maybe 80%, 90%. No community is voting like that. And you said it is not Lingayats, but upper caste. Here, when we say upper caste, it is Brahmins, Vaishyas, and Jains, and that's a small chunk, 3 to 4%, and they are actually 58% of them are voting in favor of BJP. Lingaites, of course, bigger chunk is with BJP, but still it was seen in a different way that 60-70% of Lingaites are in favor of BJP. That is not seen, though we do not have a comparable figure of any previous election. Yeah, that's it.
Just to add to that bigger picture, you see, Karnataka, you could say Karnataka is 35% versus 65%. In the top 35%, you have 3 or 4 communities. There are the upper caste, and 2 big communities, Lingaites and Vokalikas. These are the communities which are talked about. But all of them put together are only 35% of the population. The remaining 65% is what used to be called in Karnataka Ahindas. These are the backward SC, ST, Muslims, and so on. Now, just to give a crude picture, among these 35%, Congress does not lead. Lingaites tend to favor the BJP. Vokaligas tend to favor the JDS. Upper caste are clearly with the BJP.
But Vokaliga, more voters are in favor of Congress than BJP.
Than BJP. Yeah, BJP has never been the dominant party of the Vokaligas. JDS is the main party of the Vokaligas. Congress's strength is the remaining 65%. What is happening this time is that BJP and Janata Dal hold over the 35% has slightly gone down, only slightly. But among the remaining 65, Congress has consolidated its position. So there is no en bloc shift of one caste community from one to the other. That never happens. This is mythology. The Lingayat vote is talked about too much, but actually something else is happening. But the remaining 65 is consolidating very seriously with the Congress, which has been always the strength. So Congress is, in a sense, regaining its social coalition. And the other part of the big story is that within each caste community, rich and poor make a difference. Within the Lingayats, the poorer Lingayats tend to vote a little more for the Congress. Within the upper caste, the same story. But on the other hand, within Dalits and Muslims, the richer Dalits and Muslims tend to vote a bit more for the BJP. So rich and poor make a difference, although the media talks only about caste, which is true. I mean, it's not a non-existent thing.
Correct.
But caste is not the only thing. There is a very strong class angle, the rich-poor angle, which is driving this election. And I suspect that's probably why Congress is very carefully targeting the poor and the very poor.
Okay. Talking about Udupi, the BJP has fielded Yashwal Suvarna. Suvarna had called the Muslim girls who had gone to court against the hijab ban anti-national and members of a terrorist organization. The party, in fact, replaced a sitting MLA to nominate Suvarna. He will also contest for the first time. So considering Udupi was the epicenter of the hijab controversy and what Suvarna had said on this matter, what will a BJP or a Congress win in this seat signify, especially if we want to analyze how general elections will pan out?
Yeah, well, coastal area is one of the most communalized and polarized area in Karnataka. And Yashpal Suvarna, much before this hijab controversy, he became infamous when he and his team stripped 2 men totally naked, father and son. Probably this was in 2005-06. And that is the time that his name was heard in other parts of Karnataka. Yes, it's not just Yashpal Suvarna. Many such people are fielded by BJP, and some of them are very infamous because they are rowdy sheeters. They were actually study park. They were sent out of their respective districts, and such people with serious charges are being fielded. And it is also said that the Prime Minister is going to campaign for one such candidate. So the win of people like that tells us that there are certain pockets in Karnataka wherein people are in favor of the ideology or the aggressive communal violence that such people they are putting forward. But at the same time, this is not the story of entire Karnataka. And of course, their defeat also tells us that the sitting MLA, who according to some reports refused to play the hijab card more, Raghupati Bhatt was replaced. And that also tells us something, that people of Udupi and South Canara also are not in favor of such politics. But as far as our survey goes, as of now, because the survey was done in between March 3rd and April 21st, and during that period, at least, the survey says that in coastal areas still BJP leads, but though the lead has come down if you compare it with 2018.
Okay. Would you like to add on to this, or should
No,
I
I think
go ahead?
the point that he's made.
Yeah.
I think coastal Karnataka, where Udupi falls, is one of the most communally charged places, perhaps in the country. Definitely in the country, if you have to pick some of the hotspots, coastal Karnataka would be one of them. But as he said, coastal Karnataka is not the whole of Karnataka. And what is happening in coastal Karnataka today need not be the entire story of coastal Karnataka. But we have to wait. The survey says that although BJP would not sweep coastal Karnataka in the manner in which they did last time, but it may still dominate. That's what the survey shows right now.
And there's one more thing added to this is that if at all the organization of party is very strong, BJP's organization is very strong in any part of Karnataka, it is in the coastal area. And if at all the organization is very weak, as such, Congress organization is not that strong in any place. But if it is very poor in any place, it is in the coastal area. So it is not just the sentiment in the society, but also the strength of the organization that matters. So that will also add up to whatever result that comes in the coastal area.
Okay, so basically, just focusing on this only on the coastal area and analyzing and comparing it with the whole of India or the national elections is not the correct way to analyze, is what you are saying. Okay.
Yeah,
yes,
got it. Okay. So, a general question is 2023 is all about these elections, and if we look at how election campaigning is being done over the recent years and how elections are changing the social fabric, how do you think elections in India have evolved over the years?
Well, what's happening above all is elections are becoming more professionalized. That's the expression politicians would use. But in effect, it means that money is taking over elections. In my younger days, we used to talk about money power and muscle power. And then people said, okay, muscle power has been eliminated because you don't have people walking with guns and so on and so forth. But what we don't talk about is that money power has gone multiple times. It's an exponential rise in money power. I've been walking around Karnataka. What are the kind of figures people talk about? There's nothing official about it, but if you ask anyone, including the candidates, including their supporters and insiders, I'm told the going rate, every candidate from Congress and BJP, I don't blame one party for that. They say about 20, 30 crore rupees, 40 crore rupees. Now, every candidate in each constituency, every major candidate of the top 2-3 parties is spending 30, 40 crore rupees.
No, it's also said that to win an election, you need this money, and to lose an election, you need 10 crores.
Yeah, so you need 10 crores to lose honorably. So this is the might of money. And secondly, I must say with some degree of sadness, just the might of media and the nexus of money and media. The other day, I was speaking to a politician. I obviously can't name him here. He said, देखना आज रात 9:30 बजे फला चैनल के ऊपर ये खबर आएगी और ये 3.5 मिनट तक चलेगी because we've paid for it. Now, and that was indeed the case. That channel ran it for 3.5 minutes that evening. What are we talking about? Basically, the entire mainstream media, I obviously do not blame alternative experiments like Eedina, like The Wire, like many other honorable exceptions. But mainstream media is either politically captured or bought or both. And that is becoming the most important player in the elections right now, which means so the effects are the following. Number one, if you are an alternative independent political force, the entry barrier is so high that for the next 20 years, you can't even think of entering election. Two, that if you are serious contender, your own party will not give you the ticket. Party will ask you कितना पैसा खर्च कर सकते हो. Brazenly, across board, this being asked. And three, once you actually enter election, everything is up for sale. So, since you're talking generally, not only Karnataka, Telangana had a by-election about a few months ago. In that one by-election, approximately 400 crore rupees was spent in that one MLA by-election. The newspaper headlines were saying, and this is not rumors, front page newspaper headlines said, every family was being offered 1 tola of gold, 10 grams of gold per family. This is what's happening. So elections are increasingly distanced from the people. And that is why things like electoral bond, that is why Mr. Adani's unknown wealth, that is why Mr. Adani's connect with the BJP, these things are increasingly the biggest political questions of this country.
Right. So, but irrespective of the results, what is the significance of Karnataka elections as it is one of the gateways to the Lok Sabha? Like, is there something you would take away from here? What is the one takeaway thing?
He could probably say more about what it would mean to Karnataka, its current, its past, its history. But generally speaking, for the country, I would say Karnataka election this time would set the tone and tenor for 2024. Karnataka would be seen as a test of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, would be seen as a test of the possibility of Congress's revival, would be seen as a place where Congress's new campaign about Adani and possibly about caste census would be voted or not voted. I'm not saying election will actually take place on these issues, but the result would be seen to be, would either reinforce or contradict these impulses. If the BJP wins, which looks unlikely, but in case they win, yes, of course, BJP would go to town to every nook and corner of this country. And in a sense, the friendly media would step in and say, all right, 24 is not an issue anymore. That's a done deal. Let's look ahead and so on and so forth. But if BJP loses, and if it loses as badly as the Eedina survey says, that truly is a hope for the country, for hope for those who want to reclaim this republic, hope for those who want to move the country's politics away from hatred, bigotry, communal mobilization, and to the real issues of the people's everyday life. So Karnataka is very much critical, and I've said Karnataka is the Kurukshetra for the battle to save the soul of India.
Well, as far as Karnataka is concerned, 1978 election was the last election when an incumbent party government was given a second chance. After that, no government has got a second chance, except between 83 and 85, when the same party went to early elections and got re-elected. Otherwise, no party has got full majority after 5 years of full-time rule. So this will not be any different in that sense. But it is also true that except in 2013, when BJP got split into three, BJP's vote share and influence in Karnataka's politics has been increasing. It's been increasing since 1994. And earlier it was like a different type of BJP in terms of, say, Yadurappa's BJP, but now it's taking a new turn. Now that Yadurappa is being cornered, though he has come to forefront only in the last 15 days, many BJP leaders who don't subscribe to the kind of aggressive communal line are being sidelined. And one of them, an ex-chief minister, was denied ticket, and he is shifted to Congress now. Old, not just a recent, he's not just a BJP man, but he's a Jansangh man. He's as old as Jansangh. So that is the scene now. So if BJP comes to power, then a new kind of BJP will get established in Karnataka. If it does not come to power, then probably there are two things. One, probably this is what the central BJP leadership is thinking, that we'll build a new BJP in Karnataka, or the experiment of building a new kind of BJP, they may have to rethink about it. So that is going to be a key message from the results of Karnataka. Otherwise, I fully agree with Yogendra ji that this has larger implications in Indian politics.
Also, since we are highlighting that BJP has never got a majority in this state, and secondly, they came to power in a very controversial manner in 2019 by toppling the government 14 months after the election. Yeah. So
even in 2008, they did not have full majority. They had 110 at that time, and they had to buy independence, and then the infamous Operation Kamala started then in 2008 and 2009.
So, just one last question. How reliable opinion polls are? I mean, will the Indian voter be surprised this time?
You answer that.
Well, I'll only say this, that we should not be too possessive about the opinion poll, since we have done one. But I must say that we have learned a lot by doing this survey, going and meeting people, asking their opinion, and scientifically selecting the sample, random sampling that was done, not just of the booths, but also of the respondents in the electoral poll. And the way we have collected various other information, this is actually a very good data for the research. And well, personally, I think, since I've also traveled across Karnataka, that the trend is very clear. But if it changes, two possibilities. There's still 2 weeks to go, and there can be many other things that is going to happen. Or if there is some problem in the methodology as such that we have used, then we must correct that science. I always felt that it is science, but when we have done it, so we know that there is a science that behind this. But Yogendra ji is the best person to answer this.
You see, asking whether opinion polls are reliable is like saying, are journalists truthful? Your answer would be, well, which journalist, which agency? It's as well. A survey, an opinion poll or survey is as good as its sample and its methodology. What is a survey? A survey is talking to thousands of people. Depends on who are these thousands of people. Are you just picking them up on the street haphazardly? Or are you very carefully, scientifically selecting what is called a random representative sample? They seem to have done that. Second is, do you actually speak to them? Or you're just doing a telephonic stuff and all the kind of nonsense that passes for surveys these days? They have done face-to-face survey. So these two things look good, look robust. The sample profile seems to match the social profile of Karnataka. So it passes the basic tests. Having passed the basic test, is there a guarantee? Well, no one can give guarantee. And as I told Dr. Vasu this morning, remember the golden rule of survey and forecasting. If you get it wrong, everyone will remember this for the rest of your life and remind you. And that you are an idiot.
For us, it is the first survey. Probably for people like you, there were many positive or the correct surveys and one wrong in between.
No. But if you get one survey wrong, people remind you, and not just say that you made an error. They would say, "Isse bike hue the, isse paisa liya tha," and all that stuff.
Yes.
But if you get it right, people say, "Ha, ye to mujhe bhi pata tha. What is so special here?" So everyone forgets a good forecast. Everyone remembers a bad forecast. But I forgot to tell you something else. There's also something called a beginner's luck, which I had. Now, when I look at my first forecast of 1989, I was stupid. I should not have done that survey, not with a sample as small as that, 900 sample. But there's a beginner's luck. I got it right. So I'm sure beginner's luck would favor you too. While for the next 2 weeks, you would get all kind of brickbats. I think you may have a smile on your face on the 13th of May.
Yeah, actually, and the other thing is that we are sharing this data with the research institutes or universities if they like to go through it and use it for their research. Because apart from who wins and who loses, there are a lot of things for people to learn. And at least personally, I've learned, our colleagues in Eedina, we have learned a lot. And for those people who want to understand the change of society, because you said that elections changing the social fabrics. I think the other way is also correct, that changes in social fabric also affects election. So for all that, opinion polls definitely give us a lot of fodder. And I mean, I said that anyway, we're not so possessive about our own opinion poll. There's a lot of things to learn, and we'll see in May 13.
Great. All right, great. Thank you for answering all my questions, and thank you for this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was all for today. Thank you for listening to The Wire.